unlike tattooing where there can be some opinions as to what is or isn't a good tattoo, there's a small gray area there. In business, there's no gray area. It's either your business is making money or it's not. Welcome to the Artful Dollar podcast. It's me, Ryan, tattooer, financial coach, entrepreneur, seeker of wisdom of all kinds, and I have a very interesting experience to share today. My journey in life has brought me to some pretty extraordinary places, and I wanted to share about one of these experiences that I had recently where I was fortunate to be selected, and I did have to pay for this experience. It was not cheap, but my business was selected to participate in a 2-day workshop with about 100 other CEOs of various companies, ranging from a few $100,000 a year to some of them making over $50 million a year. And I wanted to learn from these people, particularly from the people leading this workshop. Alex Hormozi, who, if you don't know him, he has a podcast called The Game. He's in the world of business education, financial education, pertaining mostly to business, marketing, sales, structuring your business to succeed. And he's someone that has really inspired me a lot in my journey in learning about the game of business. And I do really like his podcast. It's called The Game because business is a game. It's, in my opinion, it's the ultimate game. I've always been attracted to really difficult, challenging things. I've always been attracted to things that there's no gray area. It's either fucking good or it's not, and that's it. And I think that's one of the things that brought me to tattooing, because a good tattoo is either a good tattoo or it's shit, and there's no hiding it. And I liked that a lot about tattooing when I first started. That was what got me interested. And over the years of running my shop and growing my business and eventually starting this other business of financial coaching, I've just come to love the game of business. It is the hardest thing that I have ever done in my life, and it's the most rewarding. And unlike tattooing, where there can be some opinions as to what is or isn't a good tattoo, I think that there's a small gray area there. In business, there's no gray area. It's either your business is making money or it's not. And I just think that's interesting. So that's what drew me to his podcast, to read his books. He's got a couple really great books. So if you want to learn more about the art of business, about the game of business, check out Alex Hormozi, $100 million offers, $100 million leads. He's got some free courses and resources on his website, acquisition.com. So just a plug for him, simply because it's something that has helped me a lot. But I really look at him as he's kind of like a philosopher of business. He's a really wise person. He tells it like it fucking is. There is no sugarcoating. He doesn't care about your feelings. He doesn't care about your opinions. It's just like, this is what works. And if it's not working, then you need to figure out what will work and do what is required. And I really like this thing that they say at acquisition.com. I think Layla Hormozi, his wife, said this, that she's like, I don't do my best. I don't do what's popular. I don't do what I think is needed. I do what is required. And I take that philosophy in my life, in my family, in my art, in my business. It's like, what is going to be required to produce the desired result? And that's what I'm going to do. And sometimes it feels like it takes more than my best to do that. And that pushes and stretches me to grow. So I wanted to share some of my key takeaways from this, particularly from the perspective of how is it helpful for tattoo artists, for smaller businesses, because I think everyone should view themselves like a CEO, a chief executive officer of your life, of your business. And what is a CEO? So in any business, the CEO can wear many hats. They can do many things, and often they do. They will market, they will shovel shit, they will do whatever is needed to help the business out. But I like their definition and acquisition of what is a good CEO. A good CEO is someone that knows how to invest and allocate resources wisely and effectively. So that could be time, that could be money, that could be people, it could be energy. Understanding what is the most optimal way that I can invest the limited resources that I have to get the most optimal output. So, I can only put in 10 units of energy, 10 units of money, 10 units of people. How do I get 15, 20, 30, 100 units of output from the units of input that I'm putting in. You can look at it that way. And so I invite everyone listening to this to start to, at least for this episode, think about yourself and your life as a CEO. Are you allocating the limited resources that you have in the most optimal way? And now, after coaching hundreds of tattooers for years all over the world, I will say that probably, although my focus is around managing money, I've come to see that managing time is a really big constraint for a lot of people. And we have busy lives. I have a kid, I have a family, I have 2, 3 businesses now. And so understanding how to allocate my resources and being able to enjoy my life and take time to not always be working, which is something I do struggle with, is so important. And, there are times where I'll be working with people and they'll feel like they need to, I just need to take time, go zone out and watch TV, but they're kind of just beating themselves up. They're not really enjoying the time that they have taken off to recover. And I feel like that comes from not allocating your time or energy into other resources that need to happen, so that when you are sort of trying to cool off and relax, you're worried, you're concerned about your business, about other areas of your life. Maybe it's your health or relationships. And so being a good CEO in your life, I think that it's key to business, but it's key to everything. And knowing, how am I going to spend my time from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep? Where is my energy wanting to go? Do I do my most creative work in the morning? For me, waking up to draw in the morning was really the best time for me to be creative. If I had to start a drawing in the evening, I felt slow, I felt sluggish. Now I know people that the evening that's their golden hour. So kind of looking at your life, where is your time best used for different tasks in your business, in your life? So that's what's going to make you a good CEO in general in your life. So I want to get right into some of these key takeaways, and I have some notes here on the side. One of the main things that I took away from this weekend, spending time with 100 other CEOs of various companies, various sizes, is that these are normal fucking people. They are not brilliant. They're not, some of them are, tend to be pretty smart, but they're not abnormally like some prodigy. They don't possess some unique talent. They're not some superhuman person capable of things that normal people aren't capable of. That was something I took away from this, and talking to people and hearing their backgrounds and, what did you do before you started your company? And most of them come from very ordinary backgrounds, very working class backgrounds. I talked to one guy that was a roofer. That's what he did. He worked as a roofer. He worked for a company. Eventually he started his own company. He really liked the game of business because, again, the skills that make you a great roofer or the skills that make you a great tattooer are not necessarily the skills that make you really good at running a business. And so he got really into the game of business, understanding, how to invest his time, his energy, his money to grow his business, to market his business. And so then he actually does something very similar to what I do for roofing businesses. He helps them manage their time and their money so that they can grow their business. He helps them market and increase revenue and increase profit margin. And so it was really cool to kind of meet someone that is very similar to me. I started in tattooing. That was my bread and butter. That was what I knew really well. I then opened up a shop. I then started to learn about the game of business and get really interested in it. And now I help other tattoo artists, tattoo shops learn to manage money, save, grow, market, invest properly. So it was really cool to meet other people that come from very solid blue collar working class backgrounds. And again, he wasn't some prodigy wizard of business necessarily. He just has an interest. He has a passion for it. And I think something that makes anyone a great tattoo artist or a great roofer is that they love it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you love it. And you put that love, like parenting. What makes you a great parent? You're going to fuck up all kinds of shit as a parent, right? But you love your kids and you will do anything. You will do what is required to give them the best life possible. And so I think if you love tattooing, but you don't love the game of business, that's going to show up in your business. And so these very normal people with all of their flaws, all their backgrounds, black, white, women, men, straight, queer, just complete melting pot of very normal people. But the one thing that I will say is different about this group of people in this room that I was in, that I would say is different from maybe any other room full of 100 people, is that they had very few, if none at all, limiting beliefs about what they were capable of accomplishing in their lives. That's the one thing, the one difference that separates these business owners that are earning multiple six and multiple seven figures in their business, is that they're not focused on what they can't do or why they can't do it. They see the limitation, they see that as an opportunity, they rise to the challenge and they break through, and then they get to the next limitation and they see it as an opportunity, they rise to the challenge and they break through over and over and over again. It's something that I've done in my life. I think it's served me so well. My life has not gotten easier as I've gotten better at business. My life hasn't gotten, if anything, my life has gotten harder, to be honest. But something that Alex Hormozi says actually that I really like is like, it never gets easier, but the dragons you slay get bigger. And so the problems that I face now in running multiple businesses and managing a company with half a dozen employees and clients all over the world is that I rise to that challenge. I understand, okay, I'm inadequate in these areas. And then I look to see how can I either improve my skill set, my knowledge, or put systems in place to support me in producing the required the desired result. What is required to do that, and then putting that in place and then allocating those resources. So I just found that whole experience of being in this room, and I kind of thought like, oh man, I'm just some tattoo artist from Brooklyn. Like, do I even deserve to be in this room? Like, these are going to be people that are way smarter than me. I kind of felt this insecurity, a little bit of imposter syndrome going into this thing. And then after meeting these people and realizing they are just like me, they are normal, they are basic in a lot of respects, but they don't see limitations as a place to stop. They see it as an opportunity to rise, learn, grow, stretch beyond, and then go to the next level. So if you're wondering what separates you from someone that runs a business that's 10 times bigger than your business, or someone that's even just like another artist that's 10 times more successful, or their work is so beyond, I think that work ethic, that discipline will outperform natural ability. Because I know a lot of artists that have a lot of natural ability, and yet I wonder why they don't live up to some degree of success. Like, I'm like, man, this is like one of the best artists in the world. Why are they struggling in their business? And maybe it's because they themselves see some limitation. Oh, I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with money. I'm not good at managing people. I'm not good at leadership. I'm not good at making content. Those are all, none of that's true. And if you catch yourself saying that kind of stuff, just take a minute to like notice that it's not inherently true. If I cut you open, I'm not going to find something that says, oh, this person's, they're bad with content. They're bad at making content. They're bad at marketing. I'm not going to find that. That's a limiting belief that you tell yourself that gives you a reason or an excuse to not rise to the challenge. And when you see that as like, oh, that's not the truth, I don't even know why I say that, you will start to naturally move in the direction of growth and opportunity and game on. And it's like, all right, I don't have the skill set. I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I'm going to jump in the deep end. I'm going to make mistakes. I've made so many mistakes. I make mistakes on a daily basis. I probably make more mistakes than most people around me. And I think that's what leads to learning very, very quickly. And if you aren't putting yourself in the position in your life, in your business, in your artwork, it could be relationships, right? If you're trying to find a partner, you could probably have to go out on a lot of dates. You probably have to make a lot of offers and get turned down a lot, and make a lot of mistakes, learn from that, and take those lessons into your next opportunity. So that was my number one takeaway. It was just their CEOs running big companies are just normal ass fucking people that have very few limitations in terms of their beliefs. The next big takeaway from this, and this might be something that people don't want to hear. This might be something that you want to avoid. This might be something that's been hanging out in the back of your mind that is like, I know I need to or should, but you have a lot of reasons as to why you don't, is know your numbers. Like, really know your numbers in your business. If you can't track it, if you can't measure it, then you can't manage it. And if you can't manage it, then you can't grow it. And again, now after working with several hundred tattooers, or now almost over 400 to 500 tattoo artists and shops that I've worked with around the world, looking at their business, looking at their marketing, seeing what's working and what's not working, barely any of them, I'm going to go ahead and just say just about 100% of them come to me not knowing anything about the specifics of their numbers. They have ballpark ideas, but if you can't measure it, then you can't manage it. And if you can't manage it, you can't grow it. And so if they are growing their business, it's not due to the things that generally grow a business. It's due to a little bit of dumb luck, a little bit of right place, right time. But those are things that they come and go, and they're not tangible. And the one thing that will consistently help you grow your business is to know your numbers. So now, what numbers do we want to know? Well, first of all, your basics is like, what's your revenue and what are your expenses? So they talk a lot about this number. They refer to it as the EBITDA. It's EBITDA. And what that stands for is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. But you don't need to remember any of that, because really all EBITDA is net profit after expenses. So knowing, what did I actually bring in, every dollar to the cent? What did my business bring in? And then every dollar to the cent, where did the money go? So I paid myself some of that money, but then everything else went somewhere. And if you don't have a good way of gauging that and being able to look at the numbers, not just in 1 year, but like month to month to month, quarter to quarter, you start to see different patterns, and you start to recognize, oh, every year, this time of year, this happens. This is a consistent pattern. Well, let me see, is there something I can do differently in that time of year that can raise the numbers up there so that it impacts every other part of the year? You start to see your weaknesses. You start to recognize those patterns just by simply knowing your gross revenue, meaning the total amount of money that comes in, and then your net profit, which is total money in minus expenses. Just knowing your net and your gross is going to really help you with your business. So that's something you can take away from this episode, is just really having a better system. I use QuickBooks is how I track where money comes in and money comes out in my business. It links to my bank account. It'll show me all the numbers. I can tell it to give me a month-to-month breakdown. I can tell it to give me a whole year profit loss statement. But then there's numbers like average growth, like revenue growth year over year or month over month. Knowing that, okay, my business has been growing at 10% per year, or my business is growing at 50% per year. If you don't know what percentage of your business is growing, right? And then you're wondering, well, why am I not saving more money? I know I'm making more money, but you don't even know how much more money you are making compared to last year. It's just impossible to gauge how much more you should be saving. And so obviously knowing these numbers on the business end is really important, but knowing them for your personal life, your living expenses, your basic every month, you're going to pay for those subscriptions and food and everything like that. So knowing your numbers on both ends of the scale is super important, particularly in your business. If you've been enjoying this episode or found my podcast helpful and you think other people would benefit from listening, then all I ask in return is please leave a quick review or subscribe. It'll take just 1 minute, and it might help other tattooers and artists find this podcast and help them. So please, it would mean the world to me, and it might make a difference for someone else. Thanks. And then they talked a lot about revenue retention, meaning when someone buys from you, what is the likelihood that they're going to buy from you again, and how much do they spend when they buy from you again? So if someone gets tattooed by you 1 year, are they coming back in the same year on average? Are they coming back the following year? Having like a CRM system or a booking software, you can go back and you can see, well, what is the average return rate of my clients on average, of everyone that I've worked with in the past year? What percentage of them are coming back for a second appointment within the year? What percentage of them are coming back for a second appointment in a 2 or 3 year span? The longer you collect data, the more information you can take from that data. How much are they spending on average? And so that leaves you to this next set of numbers, which is according to acquisition, and I wholeheartedly agree with them, is the most important number in determining the success of your business or the viability, the life of your business. And this is the lifetime value of a client, meaning when you get a client, let's say someone comes in for a minimum $80, $100 tattoo, whatever your minimum is. Do they come back? When they come back, how much do they spend? How many times do they come back? And looking at that over the span of hundreds of clients over 2, 3, 4, 5 years of your business, you can determine the average lifetime value of one client. So not every client's going to come back twice, but some clients are going to come back 5 or 10 times. Some clients are going to spend an average of $400, and other clients are going to spend an average of $3,000. Taking all that information, adding it all up, dividing by the number of data points, you're going to get the average, and then you're going to get the average lifetime value. So you know, on average, when you get one client, that client over the course of the life of them being your client, on average, is going to bring in this much. And it's really important to know that number, because then you can determine how much you can spend to get clients. So that's the next number, is the CAC, the CAC, the cost to acquire a client. And now you might think like, I don't spend any money to acquire clients. Like all my clients are from referrals, or all my clients are from Instagram and I don't spend any money on it. But I want to share a perspective, because this is really going to help you grow your business. Even if you ballpark this, even if you roughed out the numbers, like, okay, on average, my clients bring in $500. Let's just say it's 500, right? It could be 1,000, could be 2,000. I don't know. On average, depending on how many times they visit and how much they spend, let's just pretend it's $500. You could spend in ad spend and there's always cost to acquire clients. Like there's always some cost. I mean, you could even look at what you spend on supplies and materials and average spend to do business. You could put some of those numbers into the cost to acquire a client if you know that it's going to cost you this much every time you work with someone. Not like your regular rent and stuff like that, but every time you work with someone, I'm going to spend electricity, I'm going to spend these other things. There's some cost to acquire a client and work with a client. If you know that your average lifetime value is $500, you could start running ads, and you could say, okay, if these ads on average produce a client and the cost I pay for each of those clients is $100, let's say that ad costs you $100 to not just get someone that's interested, but actually get someone that's interested, and then they book, and you can track all this information when you run ads. Again, you need to collect all your data to be able to do this. But then you can say, well, shit, if I have to spend $100 to get one client, my average lifetime value is $500, I'll spend $1,000. I'll spend $10,000 to get more clients into my business, because for every $1 you spend, you're getting $5 back, because you have a 5-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio. And so that was one of the numbers that we were looking at in terms of our businesses, me and this room of 100 CEOs, is what is the average lifetime value and what is the cost to acquire a client? And then you can determine a lot of strategies on how to grow your business. Because normally people look at going to spend money on ads and they're like, oh, I have to spend $3,000 just to test these ads. And then who knows when I'm going to start to see a return. But if you know that in tattooing, like what is the average cost to acquire a client, it's going to change depending on your location and everything like that from ad spend. But if you can know those numbers, like on average in your area, what is the average cost to acquire a client? If it's $50 and you know that your LTV is somewhere around $800, well, shit, yeah, take my $3,000, take my $5,000. I'll spend that to get to that point where I can consistently put in $1 and get out $8 over and over and over again. And that is how you really grow a business. When you understand the LTV to CAC ratio, it gives you a perspective on how you can spend money to make more money in your business. But if you don't know these numbers, or if you have a very vague idea, you can't really track it, and you're not gonna have the information you need to make a decision. And so that's something that Alex Hormozi says a lot, is like, we don't need time to make decisions. People are like, oh, okay, well, we're going to run ads. It'll be $3,000 and then it'll be $1,200 a month. All right, let me think about it. you don't need time to think about that. If you knew your numbers and you knew, okay, on average, this is what I get and this is what it's going to cost. And if I put in X amount of dollars, there's a very high chance that I'm going to see this kind of return. And even if I saw half that return, it would still be worth it. You'd make that decision in a second. It doesn't take time to make decisions. It takes information. And so knowing your numbers is going to help you make decisions in your business a lot more quickly and with a lot more confidence that you're taking the right action. And so everyone in this room, I mean, these are successful people. Pretty much everyone realized that they know their numbers to a degree, but there's always more. And the more diligently you can collect that information, the more automated, the more systems you can put in place that can give you the information and not just have the information, but then how do you use that information to determine what these ratios are and what your next step could be in your business. There was a couple other things that they talked about in terms of like the value of the business, which didn't pertain specifically to numbers, but to the risk or what devalues a business. And there was a couple that I thought really pertained very well to tattoo shops, tattoo businesses. One is channel risk, meaning how many sources of clientele do you have? Are you mainly getting clients from word of mouth and from just kind of walk-ins and meeting people? Maybe you could call those two different channels, right? Word of mouth and walk-ins. Well, if walk-ins dry up, then you're only relying on the one channel. Or if for some reason, you move right to a different location, all of a sudden those referrals, they don't help you out at all. And the walk-ins that you had in one location, you might not have another, and all of a sudden you have 0 channels. So to really strengthen your business and reduce the risk that you're going to have a slow season, or that if something were to happen to one channel, one source of clients, that's not the death of your business. And so they talk about channel risk, how many channels. So if you have people coming in through social media, if you have an SEO optimized website, if you have ads that are running, if you have an email list that you're building up, if you are actively DMing and following up with potential leads across these platforms, that's a big one. That is a huge one. I talked to my good friend Jesse. He runs a company called Inklink. They run ads for tattoo shops. This isn't a promo for him, but I genuinely like the guy. I think he's kind of brilliant when it comes to running ads. So it's a little plug for Jesse. But he is appalled at the lack of follow-up or the response rate when he'll work with shops and he'll see that they're getting 100 calls a month or 100 emails a month or whatever it is. And some of those people are waiting 4, 5, 6 days to get a response. You've lost that business. Like, people aren't waiting 5 days for the most part to hear back from you. Now, if you're just booked out the wazoo, like, you don't fucking care. But a lot of tattoo shops don't have the proper systems in place to be able to follow up with those leads. So it's channel risk. How many sources of clients do I have? Now, some are going to give you more than others, but not relying on just 1 or 2, but having 3, 4, or 5 different channels that you can get clients from. And then when you do have leads, people that are interested in coming to get tattooed, how quick is your response rate? How solid is your follow-up game? Do you have an email drip campaign that everyone that books a consultation with, if they book a consult, but they don't book a tattoo for some reason, or they come in and they check out something, they sign up for some event at your shop, but then they don't get tattooed, having a way to follow up with those people, the fortune is in the follow-up. That's a saying that they have in business. So many businesses in general, they look at the data on, like, when someone books a consult or fills out your intake form. Let's say they fill out your intake form, so you have their data, and you email them back, and they don't get back to you, right? They never even had a consultation. Most tattoo shops at that point lose that sale completely. Now, most businesses, what they'll do is they'll set up an email drip campaign that's going to follow up with that lead. That's an engaged lead. That's someone that's interested in working with you. They filled out your form, but life got busy. Their kid slipped and fell and they had to take them to the hospital and they forgot to, whatever. Having that campaign that said, hey, just reaching back out. I hope you're doing well. I saw you're interested in this. Oh, by the way, we're, doing an event next month. We're doing a fundraiser. Here's the thing going on. Here's a promotion that we're doing for da-da-da. People will often buy on the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time that they receive a follow-up from a business. And so this is why your email gets flooded with all sorts of things that you signed up for, and you don't pay for half of them, but once in a while you do. And these businesses know that. And so now anyone can unsubscribe. That's fine. You can just say, leave me alone. But if you don't do that, I have totally bought shit that the 20th time I saw an email, like something in the subject line caught my eye, and I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. Yeah, I'm going to buy that automatic toilet cleaner or whatever. I don't know. I don't have an automatic toilet cleaner. I do have a bidet, but yeah, whatever it is, whatever the product or service is that you're interested in, the fortune is in the follow-up. And we're not talking with 1 or 2 or 10 people. We're talking over the course of your business, over the course of hundreds of clients that you work with. If you're getting 100, 200 plus requests every year or every quarter or whatever it is, and 30% of them are actually booking and the rest are just like kind of shopping around. If you have a way to follow up with those people, that could be another $20,000, $40,000, $100,000 coming into your business every year by simply having systems in place to do that. But again, if you don't have a client relations management system, a CRM system, booking software, if you don't have a website with forms, if you don't have SEO optimization to drag those people in, then you're going to be missing out on a lot. And I think it's opportunity cost. It is looking at what does it cost you to not get that business? What are you losing? And you could almost look at it as like a bill that you're paying. Like, what are you paying to not have that business come in, right? Is it costing you $1,000 a month? Could you make another $1,000 a month, 2, 3, 4 tattoos, whatever it is? Could you make another $1,000 a month if you had better systems in place? A little plug, I do have a marketing course. If that's something you're interested in, you can check out, there's a link below to learn more about that. That is something that I help people do, is set up these systems. But yeah, what is it costing you to not have that in place? That's the opportunity cost. So all these numbers, knowing your numbers, using the data to help grow your business, that is the game of business. And a lot of people try to avoid it. I did myself for many years, so I totally get it. And there's still times where I avoid doing that stuff. But every time I sit down to actually get clear on my numbers or put better systems in place, my business grows every single time. If you're serious about taking control of your money and your financial future, I have 2 seminars that I want to share with you. These are completely free. You can find the link down in the show notes. One is on a 3-step marketing formula that has helped tattooers earn thousands more per month and honestly reshapes the entire way that you think about marketing yourself. And the other goes in depth into a blueprint that you can follow to create financial stability as an artist earning a regular income so that you can properly deal with taxes, save and invest for the future, and buy a house, retirement, and all that fun stuff. So just check out the links in the show notes to get the recordings of these free seminars. The last key takeaway that I got from my time, these 2 days with 100 CEOs, talking about growing businesses, talking about what it actually takes to grow a business. My biggest takeaway, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, is the amount of time, energy, and money that it takes to build and grow a sustainable business that stands the test of time. A business that you don't have to constantly play whack-a-mole in for the rest of your life, putting out fires, dealing with this, hiring people, firing people, managing, losing money, making money. Like, being an entrepreneur is exhausting. It is fucking exhausting. And if anyone listening to this runs a shop, or even just has a private studio, or even just is a tattooer at a shop, like, you also run a business to a certain degree that you run it, even if you run it out of another business. It's exhausting. Irregular income and all the weird bullshit, the emails, and you have to wear so many hats and marketing yourself. The goal shouldn't be to just do that forever with any business, right? If you're just going to play whack-a-mole in your own business for the next 10, 20, 30 years, I mean, tattooing is the greatest job on the planet, but like, you almost might as well just get a fucking job, because what is the end goal? Why are you working so fucking hard? For what? I love tattooing, but is it something that I can see myself doing when I'm 65, 75 years old? So if you run a business or are starting a side business or you run a shop, you want to start thinking about what does it actually take to build this business into something that I can go on vacation for a week or a month and I don't have to worry about the whole fucking operation burning to the ground. Or if I go on vacation, we're going to make less money because I'm not in the business. So what is it actually? That's what a real business is. If you can't like walk away for a week and not lose sales or have your business go under, really you just have a job that you're your own boss and you're working a job constantly to play catch up and put out fires and play whack-a-mole. A business is something that can actually stand on its own. And so I think a lot of tattoo shop owners that I speak to, they're fucking exhausted. They are burnt the fuck out because they aren't building the foundation for this business to be able to stand on its own so that they can actually walk away or sell the business to someone else. Like, it would be really hard if your tattoo shop relies on you to function because you do things a certain way. And if if you were to replace you with anyone else and they wouldn't be able to make it work for whatever reason, they'd have to like reinvent the wheel to get this thing to work. No one wants to buy that business. They'd rather just start their own business. So thinking about your shop as what is the foundation that's needed. And the big takeaway is that it just takes so much more time, energy, and money and planning and efficiency to build a business that doesn't drain your fucking soul, that doesn't tire you the fuck out. And so a lot of tattoo shop owners I speak to, especially like newer shop owners, they're super overwhelmed. And I say, look, it's totally normal for you to be overwhelmed right now. You may even feel like you're not really profiting. It may even cost you out of pocket to run your business. And you're like, why am I paying for these people to tattoo out of my business? Like, I could just work at a shop. I know a lot of tattooers, a lot of shop owners that are thinking that. If you're a shop owner thinking that, you are not alone. I want to tell you, I probably talked to maybe 40 or 50 shop owners that have told me that they're like, sometimes I think I should just get a job at some other shop because I'd make the same amount of money and my life would be easier. So you're not alone if you're thinking that. If that's the position you're in and you don't want to do that and you really do want to grow this business, you need to put in the footwork into the foundation, the SOPs, as they refer to it, the standard operating procedures for the way things get done, the way people get booked in, the way your artists are trained, the way your staff is trained, the systems for managing, marketing, keeping track, getting those numbers, using that data. How does that dictate your actions? You want to put all that stuff in now, and you might lose money. It might cost you money. You might be paying for a shop so that other people can tattoo. And you're like, why am I doing this? The reason you're doing it is because it could take you 4, 5, 6 years to get to the point where it can stand on its own. And a lot of businesses fail in the first 5 years. A lot of businesses, tattoo shops included, because they are they're playing a finite game that is really an infinite game. They're thinking, oh, in 2 years, 3 years, I should have it all figured out to the point that this thing doesn't stress me out so much. But your business can be an indefinite thing. The whole point of business is to just keep running the business. And so if you're the one that has to keep running the business, you're going to be exhausted. And so it's worth it to invest your time, energy, resources, money to build the business so that it can actually stand on its own legs. And I'm not saying you need to walk away or sell your business, but running your own business that you could step away from and you don't have to worry about it, that you can sleep at night, you can put your head on the pillow and you're not like, oh my God, wait, what did I do the thing? And what's going on? Oh, do I have to, that chatter that goes on, that has everything to do with putting the right systems in place so that your business can operate smoothly and efficiently. And it takes more work than you think. Whatever you think is required, the time, the energy, the money that is required to do that, just know that it probably actually takes about 10 times that amount of time, energy, and money to accomplish. And now you might say, oh, fuck, that what the fuck is the point? When I realized this during this 2-day workshop, I was like, holy shit, there's way more work to do than I thought. I'm already feeling tapped out. I'm already, what do I do? One is I realize, okay, I need to allocate my resources, my time, energy, and money much more effectively to be able to accomplish that goal. It was a little depressing. I'll be honest. I was a little bit like a little gut churning, but at the same time, my takeaway was, okay, you know what? I'm actually doing okay. And I should stop expecting this to be easy in the next year or 2 years or even 3 years. I should stop expecting that. And the minute I stop expecting that and I just accept that what is required is it's going to be hard for the next couple of years, and I don't know when that time is that it will not be so hard, resetting that expectation actually makes it easier. If you think back to like when you started tattooing and you're like, man, why am I not better at this? I'm 2 years in. I feel like I've been busting my ass, grinding it out 6 days a week. Like I should know this by now. And then you look at someone that's been tattooing for 6 months and they're like almost as good as you are or whatever. And you're just like, it really helped me to realize that like, all right, you know what? It's going to take me as long as it takes me. And it's probably going to take longer than I think to get to where I want to go, because I didn't want to be just some normal average run-of-the-mill tattooer. For me personally, that was not my goal. I wanted to be a fucking stellar tattoo artist. I wanted to be exceptional. I wanted to demand high prices for high quality work. And to get to that point, it took a lot longer than I thought. And so I'm having this, and when I had that realization, it actually helped me be a better tattooer. It helped me enjoy tattooing a lot more. I was like, oh, okay, I'm a lot better this year than I was last year, and give it 2-3 more years and I'll probably be at where I was. And I did. I did tattoos towards the end of my full-time tattooing career that like, I was like, I always wanted to do work like this. And it felt amazing to finally hit those places where I felt like this is the type of work that I wanted to do. Not that it couldn't be better. It can always be better. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. But it took me about 13 years to get to the point in tattooing where I was like, I'm super happy with this. It took me 13 years to get there. For 12 years, I looked at every tattoo and I was like, this could be a lot better. And I kind of hate it. And I kind of hate myself. And I kind of want to jump in front of a bus right now. Maybe realistically, like 8 years. 8 years of tattooing. And then I started to feel like a little more confident. But yeah, the amount of time, energy, resources, skills, knowledge, wisdom that it takes to grow your business to that point where you don't feel constantly overwhelmed, like you're constantly wearing all the hats, you're putting the systems in place, it's going to take longer than you think. And if you're not excited by that, if you're not inspired by that, maybe running a business isn't for you. And I have met many shop owners that after looking at the numbers and looking at what it actually will take from where they are to get to where they want to be, they did decide to close their shop. And they were actually happy about it. They were actually like, you know what? This isn't what I want in my life. Like, this isn't the life I want. I'm going to go work out of a private studio, or I'm going to actually go work at another shop. And they didn't actually feel like it was a failure. They just recognized that where they are in their life, what their priorities are, the amount of work that it was going to take to do this just wasn't aligned with what they really wanted, what was really going to make them happy and fulfilled in their life and their career. And so they decided to go a different direction because we actually helped them get clear on the numbers. And I didn't feel like it was a failure on their part either. I was like, no, I'm glad, because the other option is you just keep doing this for the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, wondering why you're not happy and fulfilled. Well, now we got clear. And now the other thing is you realize, oh shit, the gap that I have to cross to get to where I want is a lot bigger. It's going to require a lot more than I thought. Game on. Let's fucking do this. I'm excited by that. Like, holy shit, that's hard, but the fucking reward is so sweet. The fulfillment, the satisfaction that we get as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as anyone that does something hard, fucking athletes, artists. I think that the fucking sweet nectar of life is in facing the hard, insurmountable, nearly impossible looking thing and fucking standing strong and saying, every fucking day, I'm going to move the needle forward a little bit. Growth, business, art, it's not about moving giant boulders. It's about moving trillions of grains of sand. And if all you did today was move one grain of sand to where it needed to be, then you move the needle forward. And I'm going to do that every fucking day, whether that's 1 grain, 5 grains, 1,000 grains. Every day, I'm going to do what is required to get to where I want to go. And I'm inspired by that. And it seems really hard and it can be really scary. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't have days that I fucking freak the fuck out about what the fuck's going on in any of my businesses, in my life. I don't have it all figured out. But when I do freak out, I get grounded. I take a breath. I look at where I'm allocating my energy. Am I allocating my energy, my mental energy, my focus into why this won't work? Or do I want to focus my time on energy on what creative solutions I can adapt and apply to the circumstances that I'm faced with? And I go from despair to elation and back and forth again, even in one day sometimes. And that is the roller coaster of running a business. And I think business is like one of the greatest games to play in life. And that's why Alex calls his podcast The Game, because it is a game. And the whole point of the game is to keep playing the game. There's no destination like, okay, I'm done. I won the business game. No, the whole point of the game is to be able to keep playing the game until you can't play the game. And even if you fail, that doesn't mean you failed. It means you learned a lot of lessons and you can take that into your next venture, into your next thing in life. So really, wherever you're at in your business, the only way to fail is to quit, is to completely stop and not try again. And sometimes taking 2 steps backward to take 3 steps forward is what you need to do. But that's how you play the game sometimes. So I hope this was helpful. There was a whole lot of takeaways. It was like drinking from the fire hose in this workshop. I'm going to be back in the future to do some more work with acquisition.com. I'm super fucking stoked. Check out the game, the podcast. Check out acquisition.com. It has some free trainings and stuff like that you can go check out that are super helpful for your business. Read the books. They've changed my life. And I hope that this episode was helpful. If it was, please let me know in the comments. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I just want to prompt that if you got some value out of this conversation, please go and leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you saw this podcast. It really helps me out and it really helps other people to find this podcast. I want more people to have these types of conversations around money so that we can all be more free and at ease and abundant and able to create the lives that we really want to live. So please share this and rate and review. Appreciate it. Thanks.